today I'm going to be showing you how to make the viral cookie fries. Everybody has been obsessed with these for a while, and rightfully so. They are incredibly good. They're so easy to make. They're perfect for movie nights, or if you're hosting, or if you just want a little snack. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. The first thing we're going to add into our bowl is our margarine, followed by our caster sugar and light brown sugar. Then we're going to go in with some vanilla extract to make these cookie fries taste absolutely incredible. You might be asking, can I use butter? Yes, you can. Just make sure that it's room temperature, not too soft, but not too firm either. The results may vary a little bit, but you'll still get amazing cookie fries. So once we've got all the ingredients in the bowl, we're going to use either a stand mixer or a hand mixer to mix everything together until fully combined. You can use either the paddle attachment for this or the whisk attachment. So once we've got a nice combined mixture, we're going to crack in our egg and mix again. Don't worry at this point if the mixture's looking curdled. Don't panic, that's completely normal, because adding in our dry ingredients will fix that. Once your egg has been completely mixed in, we're going to pour in our flour, bicarbonate of soda and baking powder, either by hand this time with a spatula or your paddle attachment. We're going to mix once more until we form our cookie dough. This cookie dough, it's not dry and crumbly, but it's also not super moist. It will come together as almost like an actual ball of cookie dough. That's completely normal. That's what we're looking for this recipe, because we don't want a super wet cookie dough, as that will mean our cookie fries will expand in the oven, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Adding in the bicarbonate of soda helps give a little bit of spread, and also adding in our baking powder gives us a little bit of height for our cookie fries, because we don't want them to be like a sheet of paper. We want a little bit of height, so when we dip them in our dips, they're sturdy enough that they don't break, but they're also soft and fluffy in the middle. That's what adding our raising agents does. At this point, we will now have a lovely cookie dough. If you don't like milk chocolate chips, you can add dark chocolate chips, white chocolate chips, any kind of chocolate chips that take your fancy. And again, we mix once more until the chocolate chips have been completely distributed. We want them to be evenly dispersed so we haven't got a big clump of them. I've prepared a chopping board with some baking paper. I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of plain flour all over the area, just to make sure that when we roll out our cookie dough, it doesn't stick. Get it into a nice ball, and then we're going to roll this out into a circle or a rectangle, it doesn't matter which, and then we're going to start cutting out our cookie fries. It's important to remember when you're rolling this out to roll it to about 1/2 centimeter thickness. We don't want our cookie fries to be too thick so that they expand in the oven, or too thin, otherwise they could burn. 1/2 centimeter thickness is sort of the sweet spot, and we also want to try and make sure we get the whole thing as even as possible when we're actually rolling. We don't want one area thicker than the other side, basically. We've got our first batch of cookie fries. I'm just going to start adding these onto our baking tray, making sure they're evenly spaced out and have a good gap between them, as we don't want them to become one massive cookie fry. And like I said, they don't have to be perfectly symmetrical, but it just makes them look very aesthetically pleasing if they're all a very similar size. You can make them whatever length you want. If you want them really long, then you can do that, and if you want them a bit shorter, then you can go for it. Just a reminder, the full recipe will be in the video description. And what I do with mine when I am constructing them is, because I want them to be really evenly shaped, I just trim the edges off before I decide on their final size. And this also helps make them look really uniform, makes them all look the same. And this recipe is also going to end up making you about 30 cookie fries. You get so many out of this, it's really good. And you can sort of eat them over a couple of days. You can warm them up if you want to. You can dip them in ice cream. We haven't even discussed what we can dip them in yet. Okay, we're going to get onto that later. We've got our cookie fries ready to go, and what we're going to do now is actually freeze them for 30 minutes as they are on the tray. And you might be asking, why do we do that? It's a very good question, and it's also a very important part of the process. As you can see here, we have got a perfect cookie fry shape, and we want to keep that when they're baked, because what happens when things are baked is they expand and they rise. So by freezing them before we bake them, it basically helps them best they can hold their shape, and we literally put them straight in the oven from the freezer to avoid them warming up at all and then expanding. These cookie fries have quite a high flour content, which will help them keep their shape, because if you have less flour, that's what causes cookies to expand. More flour helps them hold their shape, but we don't want too much flour, otherwise they become brittle and crumbly. So yeah, I will see you in half an hour. And I forgot to say, in that time, we will be preheating our oven to 180 degrees for fan ovens, and that will equate to 200 degrees for a conventional oven. Is it convection or conventional? I think it's convection oven, but yeah, you get what I mean. Half an hour has gone by. We're gonna bake these for about 8 to 10 minutes. The least amount of time in the oven, the better, because the longer you cook them, the thicker they're gonna be. be. They don't really need to be in there too long, so I will see you in a few minutes once they're baked. The cookie fries have now finished baking, but very important step. What we're gonna do now is let these fully cool, because if we try and dip them in things right now, they're just gonna break. So they need to be fully cool before we actually dip them in our spreads. And that then moves us on to the topic of spreads. You can dip these cookie fries in anything you want, like ice cream, different sauces. Today I've got Nutella and Biscoff spread, and I will show you what they look like up close. I am obsessed. And that is how we make cookie fries. I hope you enjoyed coming along to see how we made these. Honestly, they are just incredible. Chewy at the edges, soft and fluffy in the middle. It's just perfect. Nutella and the Biscoff, it's ooey gooey gorgeousness. It's the perfect snack. It is literally incredible. You could dip these in marshmallow fluff. The possibilities are endless. Be sure to let me know if you're going to give these a try yourselves. As mentioned earlier, the recipe is in the caption. If you did enjoy this recipe, then don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comments what you'd like me to make next week, and I will see you soon.